Hey everybody, welcome back. It is I, Mr. Aaron, returning once again to regale you with the ongoing story of Miss Frizzle and the class in The Magic School Bus, The Giant Germ. Ride on the Magic School Bus. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Alright, so you may remember the last time we were exploring the world of microbes, and they were learning how the mold got onto Keisha's sandwich when a giant fourth grader who was cleaning up the playground showed up. So now we're going to see what happens in Chapter 3. I told you I always have bad luck, Arnold groaned. And now it's rubbing off on us, said Ralphie. To the bus, everyone, Miss Frizzle instructed. We didn't have to be told twice. We all ran for the magic school bus pronto. As I scrambled in, a dark shadow fell over us. I looked out the window and saw the gigantic sole of the girl's sneaker right above the bus. No! I cried. I waited for the sneaker to come crashing down at us. But at the last second, the girl paused. What is this doing on the ground? She murmured. Everyone cheered as the fourth grader picked up my sandwich and tossed it into her bag. Oh, I guess your luck is changing for the better, Arnold, I said. Boy, was I wrong. A few moments later, we all bounced around inside the magic school bus as the giant fourth grader emptied the scrap food of her bag into the compost bin. Yuck, said Phoebe. She pointed at the bits of bread, orange peel, and dead leaves that were crammed against the windows of the bus. We were never thrown in with the trash at my old school. This might look like trash to you, said the Frizz, but to microbes, it's a feast. You mean microbes are eating the food in this compost bin the same way they were eating my bread? I asked. Oh, and there's an assignment. The Dirt on Compost by Carlos. Compost is a mixture of leaves, vegetables, and other matter that is in the process of decaying. Once the material is completely decomposed, it becomes the soft, dark, non-rocky part of the soil, which is called humus. Humus is full of rich nutrients for growing plants. That's right! Take a look! Miss Frizzle touched a button on the dashboard, and the bus got a little bigger. We were still pretty small, but now we could see a little further, over the tops of the fungi like the ones on my bread. It's micromania out there, Arnold said. And he wasn't kidding either. All around us were colonies of fungi, and plenty of other microbes too. We saw some of the same kinds of creatures we'd seen floating in the air. Balls, rods, and spirals, only here, millions of each kind were all piled together. Those are bacteria, Miss Frizzle told us. Just like fungi, they need to be around plant or animal matter that they can use for food. Hundreds of different kinds of microbes are at work here, producing enzymes that break down the old food and plants into food the microbes can absorb. That means microbes are making big changes to their environment, D.A. added. After the enzymes do their work, all this stuff turns into humus and carbon dioxide gas. Miss Frizzle steered the magic school bus across the food, leaves, and branches in the compost bin. It was like a gigantic jungle. Microbes were plastered all over everything. Fungi and bacteria were producing enzymes that made old food and leaves and branches decay. As everything rotted, we could see carbon dioxide gas bubble up into the air. Oh, there's another assignment. Decomposition is a gas by Keisha. When microbes break down food scraps, plants, and animals, it's called decomposition. When materials decompose, the process produces carbon dioxide gas that becomes part of the air we breathe. Carbon dioxide is what makes the bubbles in carbonated drinks and the holes in bread. The stuff that's left over, humus, doesn't take up nearly as much space as the food scraps did before they were broken down, so a lot of compost makes a little soil. But that wasn't all. We could also see waves of heat rising off the compost. Oh, why is it so hot in here? Ralphie asked, wiping his brow. I'm sweating. It takes a lot of energy to turn all this scrap food and grass and leaves into fresh earth and carbon dioxide gas, Miss Frizzle explained. These microbes are working so hard, they actually make the compost heat up. Miss Frizzle turned the wheel and the bus began to burrow into the food and leaves. Near the top, the food scraps and plants hadn't changed very much, but farther down, it all just looked like brown mush. Yee-haw! The Frizz cried as the bus slid around on the stuff. Whew, and there they are, heating up inside the compost bin. Whew, gets hot in there. You call this fun? Phoebe asked. She was clutching the seat in front of her. According to my research, microbes have been at work longer down here, D.A. said. The food and branches and stuff have already totally broken down to fresh humus. So, when microbes break down food like my bread, it is a good thing, I said. Microbes are the best waste management program on the planet, said Miss Frizzle. Without them, old food and plants and animals would all just pile up. But with microbes, they break down to humus. It's a rotten job, said Carlos. Luckily, microbes are very good at it. We all groaned. Oh, Carlos. Microbes are always changing their environment because that's how they get the food they need to grow and make more of themselves, Miss Frizzle went on. Sure, a few microbes do damage when they grow inside people or on plants, but many, many more microbes do good. From the desk of Miss Frizzle, microbe against microbe. Some microbes actually eat other kinds of microbes that can make plants or animals sick. Life-saving medicines called antibiotics are made from bacteria and fungi. Those antibiotics kill disease-causing bacteria so people can get well. According to my book, some bacteria actually clean up toxic waste, D.A. said. They use poisons like oil, pesticides, and methane gas for food, and they break them down into simpler materials that don't hurt the environment. Wow, I said. Hearing so many good things about microbes was making me feel lucky to have those microscopic creatures around. What about that microbe over there? Carlos asked. What's it doing? He pointed to a long, hairy-looking creature that was headed our way. That is a kind of protozoa, Miss Frizzle said. A protozoan is different from the other microbes we've seen. Unlike fungi and bacteria, a protozoan can swallow its food without breaking it down into simple materials first. Does anyone else have the feeling that protozoan thinks we're a snack? Arnold asked. The protozoan looked like it was crawling on its tiny hairs as it came closer to the magic school bus. Fortunately, we were quicker than it was. Miss Than a speeding microbe, Carlos said as the bus zoomed upward. We were back at the top of the compost bin in no time. Phew, I said. Luck was on our side this time. I should have known it was too good to last. A loud buzzing sound made me look up. Uh-oh, I said. Flies! Dozens of flies swarmed overhead. We were so small that their bulging eyes seemed enormous. Their hairy black legs had microbes stuck all over them. Every time one of those flies buzzed toward us, my stomach did a flip. All of a sudden, a fly landed with its leg on top of the magic school bus and began to eat from the compost. Oh, I guess microbes aren't the only creatures that like to chow down on leftovers, Tim said. Gross, said Arnold. But that wasn't nearly as gross as what happened when the fly flew off. Oh, we're stuck on the fly's foot, Phoebe cried. As the fly buzzed up into the air, bzzz, the magic school bus with all of us inside went with it. And there goes the fly. Chapter 4. The magic school bus swayed from side to side, dangling from the fly's foot. Yuck, I said. Hanging around with flies is not my idea of fun. Microbes do it all the time, Miss Frizzle told us. She pointed to the microbes that covered the fly's sticky legs. Flies are like passenger jets for microbes. They're a great way for microbes to travel, she said. I wish we knew where we're going, D.A. said. What if this fly is heading to the dumpster behind the cafeteria for some dessert? Oh, and another assignment. Flies Spread Disease by Tim. Flies pick up lots of microbes during their travels, including microbes that can make us sick. They are one way that diseases are carried from place to place and from person to person. Luckily, the fly buzzed around to the front of the school instead. It flew right through the open door of a minivan parked at the curb. Jimmy, one of the 4th grade boys, was just climbing into the van. The fly landed on him, and when it took off again, the magic school bus was stuck on Jimmy's shirt. Oh, what a break! Wanda heaved a sigh of relief. No more flights on a fly's foot for me, thanks, she said. I felt lucky, too. Until I took a closer look at Jimmy. Thanks for picking me up, Mom. My throat really hurts, Jimmy said, coughing. His nose was red and swollen and his eyes were watery. Jimmy's mother turned around from the front seat and handed him a tissue. I'm taking you straight home to bed, she said. Uh-oh, Jimmy's sick, Arnold moaned, and we're stuck to his shirt. Achoo! Jimmy let out a deafening sneeze. All of a sudden, we were bombarded by a huge cloud of the smallest creatures I'd ever seen. They were a lot smaller than the other microbes we'd met. They looked like tiny, teeny ping-pong balls, with spikes all around them. Billions of them came shooting out of Jimmy's mouth straight at the magic school bus. There's good news and there's bad news, class, Miss Frizzle announced. The good news is that we are now getting a fabulous first-hand look at another kind of microbe, viruses. If that's the good news, Tim said, I really don't want to hear the bad news. The bad news is that those viruses cause the common cold, the Frizzle explained. If we're not careful, we'll get sick too. Uh-oh, there's the big sneeze with all the viruses coming out. Chapter 5. How much more bad luck could we have? We really deserved a break. But did we get one? No way. Viruses kept shooting toward us. I was really glad all the windows on the magic school bus were shut tight. The viruses all bounced off without getting inside. Those viruses look much smaller than the other microbes we've seen, Tim pointed out. Are all viruses that tiny? Some are even tinier, D.A. said. According to my book, viruses can be 20 to 100 times smaller than bacteria. Carlos watched as some of the viruses landed on Jimmy's shirt near the magic school bus. So viruses can be helpful like bacteria? Did I skip a page? Nope. Can be helpful like bacteria and fungi, he asked. Do any of them clean up toxic waste or help plants and animals break down into fresh earth? Wanda borrowed D.A.'s book and took a look. All viruses have just one purpose, she said, to make more of themselves. And to do that, they have to invade living cells. Oh, and there's an assignment, A Variety of Viruses by Wanda. Did you know that there are more than 200 different viruses that can cause you to get the common cold? No wonder colds are so common and so hard to cure. Just keep them away from me, Arnold said. Our tiny viral friends are very unusual, Miss Frizzle said. They are really only half alive. Viruses show no sign of life at all when they're on their own. But once they come into contact with something that is alive, they invade it. And then they become very active, and they do what microbes do best. Reproduce, we all shouted. I guess microbes just can't get enough of themselves, Carlos joked. The trouble is, viruses damage the cells they invade, the Frizz told us. And when that happens, the plant or animal or person being infected can get sick. So, I said, when you talk about the few microbes that can hurt us, viruses go on the list. You hit it on the nose, Keisha, Miss Frizzle exclaimed. At that moment, Jimmy sneezed. Achoo! Then he reached over and closed the minivan door. His mom started the engine and we were off. Great. We're on the road with a walking germ factory, Arnold said. Not to worry, Arnold. The good news is our bodies come equipped with lots of natural defenses to keep viruses and other microbes from making us sick, Miss Frizzle said. Oh, and an assignment from DA's notebook. Our skin is like natural armor. It keeps microbes from getting inside our bodies. So do our eyelashes and our nasal hairs and even the tears in our eyes. We have defenses inside our bodies, too. Saliva and mucus make surfaces slippery, so it's hard for microbes to get into our cells and do damage. We were sure glad to hear that. None of us wanted to catch Jimmy's cold. What made Jimmy's germ defense system break down? Ralphie asked. Sometimes microbes manage to get into our bodies despite our natural defenses, Miss Frizzle explained. When a lot of microbes get in all at once, or when they grow very fast, then we get sick. And another assignment, How Germs Invade by Carlos. Germs can get into our bodies through open cuts or from germy hands being put in our mouths. Some germs simply fight their way past our nasal hairs and eyelashes. When we were run down due to lack of sleep or not eating well, microbes are more likely to get into our bodies. We have a hard time resisting new germs, too, ones that our bodies aren't used to yet. My mom makes a big deal about how important it is to keep clean, Phoebe said. Does that really help us to stay healthy? Absolutely, Phoebe, the Frizz said. By washing our skin, especially our hands, and clothes, we keep microbes away that could make us sick. We were all glad to see that Jimmy's mom made Jimmy change into clean pajamas after they got home. Excellent, Miss Frizzle said. Now the viruses on Jimmy's shirt won't be able to get back inside his body to do more harm. They'll all come out in the wash. What about us? I wondered. We're still stuck to Jimmy's shirt. And there they are, washing Jimmy's clothes. Just then, Jimmy's mother tossed Jimmy's dirty shirt into the washing machine in the kitchen, and we went with it. Oh, bad! Oh, bad! Oh, bad! I hope no one gets seasick, Carlos said. We're in for a wet and wild ride! Let's see here. That actually brings us to a chapter ending, guys, so I think we're going to go ahead and end there for today. It's getting pretty exciting, huh? So, thank you, of course, guys, for tuning in. I'm hoping that you enjoyed today. Of course, as always, be sure to check out our other digital programs that we have going on. Toddler Time with Miss Becky, Stories with Sunny, Creating with Constance. We've got lots of cool stuff going on. And, of course, be sure to check out our digital materials like Hoopla and Overdrive and RB Digital and all that good stuff so you can still get all of your great library content. And we will see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. for the next installment of The Giant Germ with the Magic School Bus. So, thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you then.